Hello guys and welcome. This is your buddy Chukatron back at you again with a video review. Today I'm going to be doing an unboxing and review on these two guys from the Masters of the Universe Origin line. It's He-Man and Skeletor. First of all, I'll start off by taking a look at the He-Man figure. Now, if we notice this is like bam, a blast from the past for all the guys who've had the original He-Man figures. And if you haven't seen the He-Man figures that came out in the 80s, here's a great introduction to the figures. So we have now He-Man figures that come in a very stylized, original type packaging that they came back out with that looks very similar to the 80s. So we have the blister card here, cardboard. It has the diamond shape bubble, and it also has the dimple that the original figures came in. So if we look there, you notice that it has a dimple right there, which the original figures had. We notice the figure nicely displayed on the front there. On this side here we see modern posing retro play. So that's it for the front. On the back here we have an illustration of He-Man, and it says here, with the mystical power sword, the mighty He-Man protects Eternia from the forces of evil. And it includes a comic book. That's nice artwork there. On the bottom here we have some action features, as this would look like the original packaging for the toys. It would have the features here with the accessory and the power punching butt. And this here, it says twist into powerful battle positions, and on top here it says fit power sword into hand. So there's not really any spring-loaded waist or anything like that like the original figures. And if we look here, we notice that we have the other figures from the line displayed. Teela, Man-at-Arms, Skeletor, Evelyn, and Beastman. So if you look at this is how the toys looked originally. They were illustrated on the back, and it got you so excited to try to get the other one. So there's a look at the back and the front, guys. So let's unbox this thing. Oh, this is so weird because, oh man, I feel like I'm destroying something here. So, wow. Alright guys, here's a look at He-Man with the inside bubble. We see him like there in the front. And on the back there is his accessories. Very similar to the original figures that came with a little baggie right here with all the accessories and weapons and whatnot. Alright, and just like the original figures, it comes with a comic book. So this is an updated comic book, obviously, and it has some really nice artwork of the Shadow Beast and Beastman on the back there with He-Man. Open it up there. Wow, this is looking really cool. And I do have a collection of the original comic book, guys, but this is just a brief look at the comic. So I think it looks awesome in my opinion. Oh, and it does have the figures displayed on the back like the original comic book did. So take a look at that. Also going to take a look at the figure with the original one, and we're going to take a look at a vintage comic book, so stay tuned. Alright guys, now that I have He-Man out of the packaging, first impressions are he looks really awesome, and he does look better out of the packaging than in the packaging. We'll start by taking a look at the head. So first thing I noticed when I got this figure is that I really didn't like the head sculpt. I don't know if it's the hair, I don't know if it's the face, but he kind of looks like the kid from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Scapoli or whatever his name was. But I do like it. I mean, it does have that very angry, you know, muscular face there with that huge jawline. Has nice detail on the head. On the chest there, we notice that he has this iconic dark gray and red detailing there on the top, which is original, had the same exact thing. Take a look at the back there. It does have it all the way to the back, which the original didn't have. These little squares that go all the way back here. The comics showed him with it going to the back there, but the figure didn't. So that's really nice. Notice there's all the detail on the muscle. You could probably take this, yeah, you could take off the armor if you want. We're gonna leave that on for now. That's really cool. And overall, I mean, it looks great. It looks, you know, it has all the aspects of He-Man. So see there, it has that nice dark orange belt, little undies there, nice detailing on the legs, right there on the shin, right there on the boots. And I do like the boots. They have the, you know, the colored ruffle there, which the original toy did not have. So overall, I think it looks good. Let's check out the articulation now. His head can move all the way around, can rotate 360 degrees, and from what I've seen, you can actually disconnect all the body parts. I've checked on different websites, and you can actually match parts on these figures, so that's pretty cool. His arms can go full 360. They can go about 90 degrees out like that. It does have that elbow swivel joint that can go like that, and it can bend around 90 degrees. Let's check out his hands. They can rotate 360 degrees, and it does have a pivot point there that can have his arm pivot up and down like so. His waist can swivel 360 degrees. His legs can go out and in. They can go forward and back, just like that, which is awesome. His knees does bend about 90 degrees. His ankle does have a swivel point that can rotate, and his ankle right there can pivot forward and back almost 180 degrees. So that's really nice. So overall, articulation is fantastic. Alright guys, here I have the new Origins He-Man with the original vintage He-Man, and this happens to be one of my favorite figures of like all time. So we'll take a look at them and compare them together. We notice there that the new Origins He-Man's a bit taller than the original one. We notice it has, you know, the ruffled hair on the original one, which it kind of imitates that on the new one, but it kind of takes cues from the animated series, more relaxed hairstyle. The face kind of looks, yeah, I don't really like this new face too much. The armor is on point. I have not a problem with that. I think it looks perfect. Body, it looks pretty good compared to the original one. The hands, we noticed that the new ones have a painted the wrist guards there, which the original never had, so I'm happy about that. What I tend to do is I end up swapping his with Triclops' hands on the other figures that I have, and I end up playing with my kids' He-Man and stuff, so I swap over the Triclops. The original Triclops had his arms painted gold where the bands are, so I usually swap them over. When I turn the figures over to the back also, I just wanted to notice that you see how this design is different from the original design, which is a whole lot better in that update, because the original He-Man didn't have a place to put the sword, but on the new one you do. So there's a look at the back as well. And the reason why I got the new He-Man is because my kids love the original He-Man. That's one of their favorite toys for us to play with, and that's kind of how I connect with them. So if you're a dad, get the new He-Mans, don't destroy yours, because my kid they're gonna end up destroying the old ones. That's why I got the new one. So, you know, better articulation, it's a little bit bigger, and unfortunately he's got to go save Barbie all the time, so we're battling it out for Barbies and all this stuff. So this is a good universal figure that I can go play with them with some toys. So there that is. We noticed there that the boots, the coloring does have a different color on the ruffles, which the original one did not. So I think it's a nice update to the original figure. Is it as awesome as the original figure? In my opinion, no. But it does pay a great homage to He-Man. So there they are. Alright guys, let's take a look at the accessories now. We're going to take a look at He-Man's Power Sword. So here's the new style of the He-Man Origins Power Sword. We notice made out of a silver plastic. And we notice it's modeled after the original sword. A little bit of the animated cartoon there, you see how that part is separated. Now when we look at the original sword, we notice that has the same design there, but this, you know, it's like together as one piece. When this one is actually corrected on this piece there. So we notice it does have an armband there, just like the original there, and it looks just pretty much the same thing, almost exactly the same size. This one's just dark gray, this one's silver. So on the back there, we notice that it does seem to tab in to another sword, which I'm assuming is the Skeletor figure, but the original one had the same thing. It wasn't executed that good, but overall I think they did a good job with the sword, so that's pretty nice. Alright guys, next up we have the battle axe. So here's a look at the battle axe, which is made out of a dark gray plastic. I'm not sure if they intended this to go with the figure, but this happens to be my favorite from the original line. The sword wasn't my favorite accessory, it was the battle axe, because no other person had a battle axe. He's the only guy that has this big battle axe, and I don't remember much toys having axes, so I thought that looked really cool. But anyways, here's a look at it. It's very plain. It reminds me of the cartoon more than the actual original toy. And if we look at the edge there, it's a little bit rough on the edges, smooth in the middle, very plain. So here's a look at it with the original. So we notice all the detailing of the original, and I love the original's design. I don't know why they didn't add more detail to the new one, but there's a look at him. And I just love this figure. The actual axe, it has that little ball on the top. I don't know why I didn't do that neither, but there's a look at it. Alright guys, last but not least, we get to the final accessory, which is his shield. So this is one of the most iconic shields from the 80s and from, you know, toys in general, is his actual shield. And I love this shield. You notice there it has like an orangey red back right there. It has all this little ball detail on the side and the little nipple in the front. On the side there we have the handle and the arm part that snaps into the arm. So let's take another look at it, the original version of this. So we know where it got all the cues from. So you notice the original one here, it does have the clip in the middle, does have the part where the hand goes in. We flip it over, has the same kind of coloring. It's not exactly the same. This, like I said, this actually looks more kind of like an animated version of the Filmation mixed with the original figure. So there's a look at it. Notice there's a lighter gray. The original one's a little bit more darker, and I like it. So let's put it on him. Check it out. Alright, so overall for He-Man, I think he looks great. Really nice update to the original figure, and introduce the kids to this line of figures. I mean, I think it's awesome. I'm glad that they came back out with it, and I like this He-Man. I saw another version of this which had a different head sculpt, which looked more like the original head sculpt, which I do love. And I'm probably gonna see, I'm hoping that they come out with different heads that you could, you know, swap them over with or whatever. I think it was a San Diego Comic-Con or a PowerCon version of him that had a different head sculpt, and it came in a box set. I didn't get that obviously, but I really like that version. I'm hoping that they come back out with that head sculpt. But other than that, I think it looks fantastic, and yeah, I totally dig this, and I'm so glad, because now me and the kids can battle with this new kind of He-Man. I could actually get them into some poses that I couldn't get the original one in, which, hey, has lasted the test of time. So my kids think these toys are awesome, so I'm gonna keep reliving new memories with this guy. Alright guys, next up we have Skeletor, and as the other figure, that has the same background and the same bubble with the dimple in there. And we notice there Skeletor nicely displayed on the center. Turn it around, we notice the same thing. We have a nice illustration of Skeletor on the top there, and it says, "The nefarious overlord Skeletor wants to control the power within Castle Grayskull." So I love the artwork of that. On the bottom there, it shows you him holding his Havoc staff and doing his laughter there. Sorry, that was my impression. And all the figures there. So overall, I mean, this is how the figures look like for the most part. It's just stylized, you know, with updated artwork and whatnot. So without further ado, let's unbox this guy. Alright, so here's a look at Skeletor with the inside bubble. And on the back there, we notice another baggie with his accessories. He also comes with the same comic book that He-Man comes with, which again is very reminiscent to the original figures, being that one comic book came with multiple figures. So if you got a Skeletor and a He-Man, they came with the same comic book. So heads up for those guys for paying attention to that. That's pretty cool. So here's a look at Skeletor. And first impressions are, I think he looks fantastic, minus the expression on his face. I'm pretty sure everybody thinks the same thing. Why does he have his mouth open? That really kind of pisses me off about this figure. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with this. He should have had his mouth closed or something. Jeez, man. I mean, yeah, you can have Skeletor doing his maniacal laugh, but whatever. I kind of want to have him more serious and scary looking, like the original figure, which we're going to pop out and take a look at. So first of all, let's take a look at the head before I keep ripping this figure apart. We noticed there that it has the hood there, which I think looks awesome. The hood part, face there, the coloring is on point. Very you know, copying of the original figure, which I think they did a pretty good job. The red part of his eyes, I don't like them being so big. I kind of like it like smaller looking, but that's just me. Other than that, the body armor there, we notice all the detail there, like just like the original figure. This is like a spit image of the original body harness there. And we check out the little skirt stuff that he has. Pretty much spot on. You can't complain about it. The detail on his arms. He even has the fins on his elbow like the original figure did. Color's a little bit lighter blue, but we'll take a look at the original. The feet, same exact feet the original figure had. All the details like the same thing. The toes look almost the same, a little bit more detail. So the back there looks pretty the same, and it looks awesome. I mean, the original figure is an awesome figure, very iconic. So he has the same articulation that He-Man does, and I'm pretty sure all the other figures have. He does have that ball joint on his head, which allow him to rotate and pivot all types of ways. He does have the same arm articulation. His arms can go out, up and down like that, 90 degrees. Can rotate 360 degrees. This part, they can rotate 360 degrees at the elbow. Pivot 90 degrees. His hand can rotate 360 and rotate up and down. If we look closer up at the hands, we notice the nail detail that the original figure has as well, which we're going to take a look at it. His waist can swivel 360 degrees. You can take this armor off and take a look at the bottom. His legs got nice details there. They can go out and in, forward and back 90. His knees can bend 90 degrees, can rotate there at the calf part there, and on the ankle, foot goes forward and back, can pivot forward and back, and a little bit side to side. So overall, great articulation. Alright guys, so here's a look at the Origin Skeletor next to the original 1981 Skeletor. So we're going to take a look at the similarities and differences between the two. So we notice there the head sculpt completely different. This one's a little bit more spooky, Halloween costume type thing. This one's more like crazier looking. I don't know why they came out with the open mouth thing for Skeletor, but now that I have it out the box, it looks way better out the box. When you play around with it, doesn't look too bad. So anyways, onto the chest armor there, we notice that it's almost exactly the same. The newer one has a softer plastic compared to the original one. The original one is more like a harder type plastic. This one's more like gummy. So they do have the same exact bat thing on the top there, as we notice. Really nice. On the back there of the armor, we notice that it does have the exact same design. It doesn't have a sword holder for Skeletor, which kind of sucks because I still have to put the sword inside this back part here, which I hated about the original figure. But anyways, you can't complain it for not being the same. So there, the belt buckle, we notice there the same thing, looks the same. The back is the same, and the design of the feet there almost exactly the same. So they really copied this figure, I think, to the T almost, minus the head sculpt, and of course the added articulation. But overall, I think it's awesome. I'm going to take a look at the accessories now. I'm going to start off with the Havoc staff, and as we noticed there, it has all the detail of the ram's horn, as we see in the back. The midsection, it has that little detail, has the ball on the bottom, and we're going to compare with the original one. We noticed that the original one's a darker color purple, but overall every single detail is on there. So they pretty much copied this one, just made it a little bit more nice and neater, but overall it looks almost the same, and it's the exact same size, minus some of the detailing, like on this section, a little bit smaller on that, but it looks almost exactly the same. The next accessory the Skeletor comes with is his sword. Now he does come with another half of the power sword. As we saw earlier, He-Man has the other half of the power sword. Put them together, which I'm going to do right now. And just like the original figure, it has indentations on the other side. We clip them together and bam, there you have it. Two halves of the power sword. Now in the original story, the comic books that came with the figures, the whole plot of the line of the comic book line was to get both halves of the power sword so that Skeletor can get into Castle Grayskull, because in order for anyone to get into Castle Grayskull, they need two halves of the power sword. Now, one Skeletor found in one place, and then in the other place where Stratos lived, that he found the other piece in the comic books. He ended up putting them together, and he ended up getting access to Castle Grayskull. He ended up having like really powerful sorcery. But anyways, you can do that here, and you see it doesn't really connect too well together, pretty much like the original figure, but there you have it. And yeah, it's pretty much the same thing like the original. We're gonna pull out the original, and we notice there that it has the same details there, but the midsection, like He-Man sword, isn't connected there. So boom. Oh, and another thing is that the handle right here, this part that I didn't mention, actually was designed to go on the other hand, because he only has one closed hand. Like the original had very similar to this one, where it has one fisted hand that he can actually hold a weapon like that, and it has an open hand so that you can put the sword in like that with the actual strap, because his hand is open wide so it can't hold the actual sword. But like this, if you have this part, it can stay on his hand. Now the bad thing is, back in the day, a lot of people just broke this part of the sword, so it was useless. You can only have it on one hand. So there it is. Alright guys, so there's my unboxing and review on the Masters of the Universe Origins He-Man and Skeletor figures. Overall, I love these figures. They're a great update to the original figures. Now you can continue the adventure on Eternia. Till next time, this is Chukatron saying peace, love, harmony, and God bless. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, chances are you'll enjoy another one. Hit the subscribe and notification bell for more Chukatron content.